Hello friends, as part of this catering management course, today we will see another topic, that is hygiene, sanitation and safety of quantity food production in a food service establishment. Actually, these are all three interrelated aspects, that is hygiene, sanitation and safety. What are these? Because you will be handling large amounts of foods in any food service establishment, it becomes very essential that microbial contamination chances are high. Hence, proper sanitation conditions should be maintained. What are these hygienic conditions that should be followed? It is always essential that the food service establishment should not be nearer to areas where you have drainage water accumulating and resulting in the development of different insects and microorganisms. These insects and microorganisms play an important role in causing the spoilage of the food materials. Hence, the three important aspects that should be considered are the environmental hygiene, hygiene in handling of the foods, as well as the personal hygiene. These three are the most important things. Environmental hygiene, that is the most important thing, because the location of the food service establishment, it is always essential to see that the drainage water that comes out of the establishment should properly be channeled and it should not be allowed to be accumulating at one place, causing cesspools, resulting in the insects, rats, flies and fleas accumulating at those places and causing damage to the food materials, because as we all know, flies can cause food contamination. Even rodents, the more number of rodents, the wastage of foods also is high. Even when you are taking the structure, that is the food service establishment structure, also should be in such a way that it is properly maintained, that is no logging of water should happen, and you should be using non-corrosive, easy to use, easy to clean materials for flooring as well as for the service stations also. Apart from that, plumbing also should be proper, and if there is any leaks in the plumbing, immediately corrections also should be done. Even in the blockages also occur in the sewage pipes, immediate cleaning also should be done. The equipment, furniture and the furnishings also should be cleaned regularly. No dust should accumulate on the equipments, and also once the equipments are used, they should be immediately cleaned, like the wet grinders, mixies as well as other equipments in the kitchen should be immediately cleaned. They should not be kept without any cleaning. Next, another important aspect is the ventilation aspect. Ventilation is also very much important, because more number of people will be working in a little area, as well as apart from that, you have the heat that is being generated from the foods when they are being cooked. So, ventilation is very much important, and cross ventilation should be maintained, because we cannot put ventilators at the top or the bottom of the rooms, so that the fresh air is circulated and carbon dioxide filled air is removed from the room, and the people will not have any sort of exhaustion. And another important aspect is, as part of the ventilators, we can use exhaust fans. Exhaust fans also help in removing these hot airs to the outside, as well as fume hoods also can be used. These fume hoods also help in the removal of the moisture also that gets accumulated inside the kitchens, which is a very common factor, as the air inside these rooms gets warmed up and people can undergo suffocation. Proper lighting also should be maintained, because it is mainly the service of the food that is being done, and to look at those foods clearly, proper lighting should be there, that is infestation should be easily detectable. And water supply, generally it is advisable to have soft water being supplied, and proper care also should be taken that the microbial count of this water is minimal, and hard water should not be used, because if hard water is used, the staining of the vessels can happen and it results in the spoilage of these equipment. Usually what we see is, if you use hard water, you see the scaling on these vessels. Because of the scaling, the heat transfer also is greatly reduced and more amount of fuel may be required. Another thing is waste disposal. Waste disposal includes in the kitchen the peelings, trimmings, placed weights, spillage, empty cans, like your Coke bottles and all include those empty cans, packing materials, all that also should be properly disposed. These trimmings and peelings should be immediately put into the dustbins without leaving them on the work benches, so that no flies or fleas try to attack them and spoilage of foods can usually be happening. The second aspect in this is the hygiene in food handling. Hygiene in food handling is another important aspect. That is, when you are receiving the food, it is always essential to see if the food is in the good condition or not. If you have already taken rotten food, during storage the rottening can increase and the wastage can be more. To reduce this wastage or minimize the wastage of the fruits and vegetables, if we can procure good items while receiving it, verification during receiving is very much essential. As I said previously, storage also is very much essential. The ideal temperatures should be maintained. The temperature should not be too high or too low. Also, the relative humidity of the room should be properly maintained, which again can be maintained only with the proper ventilation. Storage areas also should be away from the kitchens or places where more amount of heat is present, so that foods can be stored for long duration of time. Infestation controls can be done. As you see in some restaurants, you will be seeing lights towards which insects or the flies will be attracted and sound will be coming when the insects are dying. These are nothing but the pesto flashes. These pesto flashes can be used, and for rodents any type of insecticide, commonly warfarin is used, but care should be taken that this warfarin is placed in such a way that it does not cause any contamination to the food materials. Once these rats or rodents or fleas have consumed these insecticides like the warfarin or linden, we should make sure that they are properly disposed once these rats are killed. Otherwise, problems will happen, that is, contamination of foods can be happening. Another important aspect also, food handlers, if they have used these pesticides, they should wash their hands before they do any preparation of the fruits. Next aspect is coming to the preparation of foods. While you are preparing the foods, it is always essential that all the fruits and vegetables should be properly cleaned with clean water, clean soft water, and even eggs also. You would have seen on the egg shell sometimes the excreta will be present. So, it is always advisable to clean those outer shells before they are being put into usage. Animal flesh also should be cleaned properly, otherwise microbial contaminations can be happening. Now is the important aspect, that is the holding of the food. When you go to a restaurant, always you would want your food to be piping hot, but how do they keep this food piping hot? They will try to put it in containers, and if the food is cooled down, then again they will heat it up, which is again not good because nutrient loss will be there. Hence, if you are wanting to hold the food, it is usually ideal to hold the food above 63 degrees centigrade, because microorganisms won't grow there, or below 10 degrees centigrade, where again the microbial growth is minimum. Hence, this temperature between 10 to 62 degrees centigrade is called as the danger zones, because that is where the foods usually can be attacked by the microorganisms, and the microorganisms survive at these temperatures very well. Next is the serving. When you are trying to serve the foods, also all the utensils used should be properly sterilized with hot water and used. And next, cleaning up. If there is any spillage, or as I said, trimmings or peelings also should be immediately cleaned. They should not be left out like that and resulting in the contaminations. Cross contamination again happens to be a biggest problem. Also, the waste disposal, the disposal of the different cans, trimmings, peelings, all this also should be properly done in plastic containers and disposed of in a congenial manner, so that contaminations don't happen. Next is the personal hygiene. Personal hygiene of the people also is very much important. It is always advisable that the people should wash their hands once they have used the washrooms or the toilets. Also, staff working in a kitchen area should have their nails properly trimmed, or if they have long nails, the nails also should be cleaned properly so that no dust is present in these nails. Another thing is, when you are coming to work, it is always essential that they should have slept properly and come in with having neat aprons and clean clothes, because when we go to a restaurant, we don't want to be served by the waiters who are shabbily dressed. That is also one reason why these people should be having proper personal care to be done. And also, if there are any cuts on the hands, those cuts also should be properly covered with. And another thing is spitting. People eating pan and all should not spit in the work areas. And second thing is, smoking also should not be allowed. Separate smoking zones should be there so that contaminations don't happen. And when you are trying to sneeze also, it is always advisable to turn your head, use a handkerchief or a paper napkin so that no amount of contamination happens. Leaning on the work benches also should be avoided, and proper footwear also should be used. All the kitchen equipments and clothes can be washed with hot water between 43 to 45 degrees centigrade, and crockery and cutlery, that is usually the vessels that are used for serving the food, all should be cleaned with water of temperatures around 77 degrees centigrade so that most of the microorganisms are removed. Now we will come to another important aspect in this after the hygiene and sanitation, that is the safety. What is this safety? Like when you are working in a workplace, you don't want the people to have any sort of injuries because of working in these areas, and area that you are working also should be free from any sort of infestations, damage or destruction, because if the workplaces are not proper, then people will not be comfortable working there and resulting in the poor work efficiency. So it is always essential that proper establishment facilities should be in a proper way so that people are comfortable in working. First and foremost in this includes the accidents from structural inadequacies. What are these accidents because of these structural inadequacies? Mainly if you have blind corners, like some kitchens, if they have blind corners and people are coming with the serving vessels, each can hit each other and the spillage of foods can happen, and people can be harmed if the food is in very hot condition also. Second is uneven flooring and floor coverings, or more crevasses are seen and people can trip and fall down, again causing injury to the people. Next is if spaces are small and people are overcrowded and more noise can occur, and this again can cause injury to the people. Next, cracked or chipped or broken windows or edges, workplace edges also should be taken proper care of. Switches which are broken or spoiled should immediately be changed because power problems can occur. And inadequate lighting also can cause problems like affecting the visibility, and you will not be able to see the infestations that may be present in the food materials. Also it causes fatigue and exhaustion in the people, reducing their work efficiency. And next is accidents can occur because of the improper placement of the equipments. Like improper placement of equipments is large equipments which cannot be moved have to be properly placed so that easily they can be cleaned. Another important aspect is like a hot electric plate is there, and after usage if it is present in the way, people can get burns because the hot plate won't cool immediately. And chopping boards, knives and all also should be properly put into the sinks, and if sinks are filled with surf water and you put a sharp knife into it, problems can like cutting of hands can occur, and hence it becomes very essential that you have to properly place these equipments that need cleaning also. Next, another thing is when you are walking in the aisles, you should also blind corners should not be there, and mobile equipments like trolleys also should be placed in proper places, and electric switches should not be placed near the sinks, because water can fall from the sinks into those plugs, and short circuit also can be occurring. Next is wall cupboards also should not be put above the cooking range, because if you are trying to take any items from the wall cupboards placed above the cooking range, it becomes difficult, because fire accidents can usually be occurring. Also another thing is all the mops, brooms, loose cartons should also be placed in proper places, because they are highly contaminated and cross contaminations can occur. And also the cleaning liquids should be placed in separate areas, and because of these mops and brooms, trippings also commonly will be occurring. And another important aspect is proper fire extinguishing facilities should be there, because if proper extinguishing facilities are not available, then if in case of fire accidents, major problems can occur. Next is accidents due to the improper working habits of the people that are present in the food service establishment. Sometimes we will be usually seeing that as soon as staff enter into the kitchen, they will on the stove, light up it, and not put any vessels on it. So such sort of practices should be avoided. Also another important aspect is, as soon as we enter into a kitchen, it is advisable first to open the windows and then light up all these gas related cooking equipments, because if by chance gas has come out and if windows are opened, the fire accidents can be greatly reduced. Also, after you have finished using the electric kitchen equipment, it is always advisable to switch off the plugs and then remove the plugs from the sockets, so that shocks don't occur. And placing sharp kitchen equipment into the sinks is also not advisable. Proper care should be taken when you are placing it. And also if there is any spillage also, the spillage should be immediately cleaned, because spillages can cause dangerous slips in the people, and leaving hot pans in areas where others work also can result in the spillage of these. Like if a hot pan is containing oil inside it and it is placed in an area where everybody is working, if that hot oil spills, major damages can be occurring, and loose sockets should immediately be tightened up, or if damaged, those plug points should be immediately changed. And hot bulbs should never be handled with hand, because their chances of burns can be there. And whenever electric equipment is on, it is advisable to notify the other staff in the kitchen that this is in the working condition. And also lids can be placed on all the vessels when you are trying to steam them, so that the cooking time is reduced, and also steams don't escape out and heat up the room. And next, another aspect is accidents occurring due to the nature and behavior of the people working in that area. As we all know, each person is different, like each individual will have his own or her own practices and all. Because of this also accidents can occur. If suppose some person is careless, it can create a risk to others. Like as I said, leaving a hot pan of oil in areas where the chances of tripping are more, somebody can be injured. So such side of things should be taken care of. And second aspect is the excitability. Some people want to finish off the job very soon because they are excited of their new jobs or something like that, or some other reason they are excited and they want to finish the job quickly also. Such people need to be taken care of, because they can cause damage to themselves as well as others. And some have fear of working. So this fear of working also needs to be considered, like what if I do this, what will happen? So such factors should be considered. Another aspect is the anxiety. Sometimes we will be anxious to do it perfectly, that we will end up doing things in a wrong manner, which again needs to be considered. And ill health, if the person is suffering from some health problems, care should be taken that they are not over exhausted, and because over exhausted people are more vulnerable to accidents. And sometimes if you are doing some monotonous jobs, you lack interest in doing jobs. Like suppose one of the most monotonous jobs that can be seen in a kitchen is the peeling of potatoes. which is very monotonous, and people doing these jobs should take proper care. And also hastiness, people should not be hasty in doing the things, because sometimes very talkative people or people who are hyperactive won't concentrate on their jobs and can cause injury to themselves as well as others also. Forgetfulness also is another problem that comes under these personal problems, because you forgot where you kept what, again it can be a big problem. And next is the accidents due to improper installation, maintenance and storage of equipment. Improper installation is, as I said, while you are placing sinks, it is always advisable that not to place sockets or the plug points above those sinks, because water spillage can occur. And another aspect is you cannot keep those bigger equipments next to the sinks, because water can fall into those equipments, and again electric short circuit can occur, equipments can be spoiled, work will be hindered. So these things need to be definitely considered. And next, safety procedures that you need to do is always the fuel connections or the control points should be away from the kitchen areas. That's why generally we will be seeing all the gas cylinders will be stored bigger establishments away from the kitchen, because if by chance there is a fire accident and the cylinders are nearby, the damage is extensive. But if they are far off, you can cut off these lines and avoid such accidents also. And another thing is these cylinders also have to be properly stored with, I mean like they have to be properly placed and under lock and key. Another aspect is if there is any chipping of those glassware, immediately those glassware have to be removed from usage, because if they are not removed, hand injuries can occur while cleaning or doing any activities. And another thing is, if we are using the ovens, always it's advisable to use the oven pads instead of the cloth, because when you are trying to remove from the oven, which is at a very hot temperature, the cloths that you are using may slip. But if it is oven pads, it is present on the hand as a gloves, and the chances of slipping is very minimal. And next thing is regular maintenance also should be done, that is proper cleaning of the premises, removing of all the spillages that have happened also should be done, and all the equipment should be kept in proper cleaned conditions. Next thing is, usually a sign can be put like near the washroom or near the sinks, you can put a label saying please wash your hands. Keep just a reminder that they have to wash their hands. It is understood that all of us know to wash your hands, but sometimes we forget to do it. But these are now wash your hands can be written and put like that, so that it's a gentle reminder. And it is always advisable that all food service establishments should have fire extinguishers and alarms, so that in case there is any emergency, they can be used by the staff, and the staff also should be trained in all these aspects. Okay, now to conclude, we will see what are the different aspects that we have learnt in today's class. We have seen the importance of hygiene at the establishment, at the personal level, as well as in handling of these foods. Next is sanitary conditions should be maintained in and around the food service establishment, and also safety procedures that are to be followed to avoid any sort of accidents occurring in any food service establishment. So these are certain of the aspects that we have covered today under this topic. Thank you.